Farmspace, ons is hier by NAMPO 2024. Rain van Cerealis. Wat is dit? Hoe werk dit? So half 'n aanvullende mobile irrigation besigheid. Praat met Chris, hy gaan my meer vertel. Hoe werk hierdie storie? En kom ons kyk of hy dalk op jou plaas kan werk. Chris, how are you doing?
Hey, doing very well.
No, I'm glad to hear that. How are you finding South Africa?
This is really enjoying this. Much warmer than I expected, but
Well,
great.
I can say it's much warmer than we expected as well, eh? Listen, just explain to me quickly, Rain, okay?
Yes,
What is it and how does this thing work, basically?
very good question. So this is a fully autonomous irrigation system.
Yes?
So it follows your planter path. So
Yeah.
unlike conventional, irrigation systems that are either, a circular or a pivot, this is a fully autonomous where it follows your planter path. And so it carries up to 1 kilometer of hose on the machine, and then it goes through your field 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, applying half inch of water right at the base of the plant.
So you're basically looking at, let's say with one pass, half inch of water, that's like just over 12 millimeters of water that you're putting down in one pass. So we're talking with one pass, we're talking basically pivot territory here in terms of the amount of water that you're actually putting down on one pass.
Yeah, so because we banned the water, you're actually doubling that amount. We're only so essentially the plants see 1 inch of water,
Yes.
and the center will be dry. And so and also the way it works, right? On the way out, it's laying the hose down, and so we're watering the outside rows like you see down here on this picture.
Yes?
And then on the way back, we pick the hose up automatically, and then we water the back rows, so that way the tires are always on dry ground.
That's cool. So, okay, so yeah, whoever developed this, and I'm not sure where this comes from. You can tell me the story now. Obviously, they had some R&D issues with that thing getting stuck and so forth.
Yes, we absolutely, the first year when we were applying a half rate going out and a half rate of water coming back, we created many ruts in fields.
Now, tell me quickly, where did this come from? What was the initial idea, and how did someone go like, you know what, I actually just need to get water into these fields?
So many times people always talk about if we could only get that $1 million rain, right?
Yeah.
Get that inch of rain at the right time, in the heat of during the pollination period. And so Greg Souder, the founder of 360 Yield Center, went to work with his teams like, how can we get that $1 million rain? And we started playing around with some very basic tools, and then we eventually got to what we have today, which is a 360 rain.
And tell me quickly, so let's start with that part. In terms of area that this can safely cover, so this is not a total going to replace my irrigation solution. Am I correct in saying that? Is depending on your area, but I would say I'm from a very dry area. I don't see this as being able to get through the field quick enough to replace the standard irrigation pivot.
Yes, that's correct. So basically, we carry 1 kilometer of hose, on the machine. So from that one hookup, we can cover roughly 80 hectares.
Yeah.
Autonomously, and it takes the machine only goes up to half a mile per hour. And
Yeah.
so that 80 hectares, it's going to take almost 5 days to cover that before it starts back over.
With one machine. So
With
you're
one machine.
looking at, and then 80 hectares, I've got like 12 mils that or half an inch that I put on that, and on like every 5 days
That's correct.
cycle basically.
That's correct.
So we're talking about best case scenario, 20 millimeters per week. That's what I can cover.
That's correct.
So that's about a third of what I can do with an irrigation pivot,
Yes.
more or less.
Now we're seeing, because we're applying the water right at the base,
Yes.
in the States, we're seeing that we're utilizing the water efficiency much better.
Okay.
So we're maintaining similar yields with 30 to 40% less water, because we're applying that water right at the base.
And you're not having the precipitation.
That's exactly right,
And
evaporation.
Oh, look at me with the big English words. So yeah, the precipitation, and then precipitation. What do you call that?
Evaporation.
Evaporation.
Yes.
Jeez. Okay. Right. Evaporation. So that works. So let's bring that back to the calculation. So that means that if I'm about, let's say 40% of the water that you need there, it means that I'm almost twice as effective. That almost gives me like a 40 millimeters. So that's then going towards half to 60% of what an irrigation pivot can do. Am I correct in saying?
That's correct. That's correct. Now, in sandy soils, we need, this system is not going to supply all the water in real sandy soils. But in soils that can retain some moisture once it's applied and transfer to the, to the corn plant, it works very well.
And how far? First of all, how big does my water source need to be? Does it just need to be able to? How many gallons per hour do I need in order to sustain this thing?
That's a great question. So, 360 Rain is going to open up irrigation to a huge part of the world that's never had the ability to irrigate before. Because the 360 Rain system only requires 200 gallons a minute to apply this amount of water.
So that back to liters is about times 4.5. So let's say 1,000 liters a minute. That's basically what I need to get this thing going. So you're talking about 60,000 liters per hour that I actually need to get. So what's the best type of water sources? Are you talking boreholes? Do I need a dam with some reservoir? How does that work? How does the pumping system work?
Yeah, great question. So because we're carrying 1 kilometer hose, we need fairly high pressure at the inlet. So we need 110 psi of water coming into the system.
Yeah.
And then due to friction loss through the 1 kilometer of hose, we end up at 10 psi at the end. But as far as water source, any water source, so boreholes, rivers, subsurface or ponds, dams, any water source, as long as we can get that water pressure boosted up to 110 psi coming into the system, we can make that work.
And I'm literally just thinking out loud here in terms of how and where this would work the best. How does it do with hilly conditions?
With what conditions?
Hilly conditions. If it's you've got hills and stuff like that.
So we use this. We have 3 electric motors. So each tire has its own independent electric motor.
Yeah.
And so as far as going up steep hills, we have no problem climbing hills. But as far as the side hills, we try to stay less than 8 to 10% slope. Okay. Otherwise, once it starts sliding
especially
down.
when inevitably stuff will get a little bit wet.
Right.
You get that runoff that goes through the wheels and all of that, which you can't do anything. You're going to have to fight gravity for that one, which is going to be difficult. And then you're talking about the electric motor. So the power, how do I get power for this? Can I run it with a generator, or does it have its own generator on there? How does
Absolutely, great question. So yes, it does have its own onboard generator. So we have a series of batteries as well as a diesel generator that charges those batteries. So during operation, we use 1/2 gallon of diesel per hour.
Yeah.
And so we carry 300 gallons of diesel, so we can go about 20 days of operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without the need to refuel.
That's awesome. And so if I've got a proper like petrol or a diesel pump that I can supply the water with, or I've got electricity there, but that's going to be my biggest challenge out of a power point of view is obviously pumping the water.
That's correct.
So do you guys have solutions for that, or is that like, okay, I need to bring that to the 360 Rain, and you're almost listen to this one now. It's almost like Amazon says, you're the last mile distribution of the water.
Yes. No. So we started off with the Rain system, but as you know, how do you make it easy to get the water to the Rain unit? And so yes, this past year we developed what we called our skid system, which is a self-contained booster pump with an electrical panel on board with VFDs. So for guys with dairy manure or hog manure, Now on that skid, we're actually able to blend in manure with water. We got flow meters there, so we're able to map and record how much manure you're being applying to the field. But then the onboard booster pump then boosts that up to the desired pressure. And so all that is one unit that can also be delivered along with the rain system.
And so what you're telling me is also I can then with that system I can also push some fertilizer through this
Absolutely.
as well.
So you can
now it starts making proper sense.
So on that skid, we also have an option for a nitrogen pump, so we can put in nitrogen, blend that into the water, or as we talked about, any type of manure source, up to 10% solids.
Have you got different sizes in it, or have you got the one machine and that's basically the format that it comes in?
So the machine right now comes in either a 60-foot boom or an 80-foot boom size for your planter pass.
So depending on what
your planter size.
The planter size that I did, that's basically what I'm doing there. And I'm guessing just it works with its own GPS and so forth. And it goes down the field. You just need to put in your maps and there it goes.
That's correct. So the system comes with a base station. So we have our own base station that gets put at the field. And then we have a tower that goes on your planter. So when you plant that field, we have the system will come with a tower that we record your planter path. And then we use that planter path data to create the irrigation path.
I'm 100% with you. Chris, thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to see how this thing works in the field.
Well, the first one is being built right now for South Africa, so it is headed this way.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, sir. Dit is Chris van 360 Rain saam met Cerealis Precision. Okay, nou daai is 'n heeltemal 'n interessante ding. Ek is nog besig om my brein breek nog so 'n bietjie rondom dit. Ons sal uitfigure hoe hy werk. Sal kyk hoe werk hy in die land. Kort en die lank is maak jou eie reën. Jy moet nou obviously water hê, daarom somewhere wat jy maar jy weet is een van daai goeders wat dalk net die verskil maak op die einde van die dag van of jy oes het en of jy mis oes het. Obviously jy moet water en al die goeders langs die kant hê, maar baie keer staan en kyk jy vir daai dam van laas jaar en jy staan en kyk hoe die mielies verdroog aan hierdie kant. En as jy maar net 'n manier gehad het om iets te doen. Dalk is hierdie 'n oplossing. Ons volg hom. Dis hier van Farmspace af. Tot volgende keer. Groete.